Welcome to Gapology Radio Podcast with authors Mark Tinas and Brian Brockhoff. We can be reached at gapology.org, and our books can be found at amazon.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Gapology Radio. We've been on a little hiatus for the last couple of weeks, but we're ready to get rolling. Let's give Mark a call and see what he'd like to cover this week.
Hey Brian.
Hey Mark, how are you?
I'm great, how are you?
Good. Did you have a nice little break here?
I had a trip to San Diego over the weekend. It was great, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a long drive.
Yeah, very enjoyable.
Yeah, that's good. So what would you like to go over this week?
So I'm thinking that we can call this one Be the Job You Want.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
Yeah, so there's this, there's a big mistake that I see that gets made over and over again by executives and those that want to become executives, and that is that when they change roles, they carry with them the same identity as their prior role. Let me walk you through this.
Yeah, right.
With a little more detail. So, if you get a new job, so you change companies maybe, or you get promoted within the company that you're in, or you have a change in department or role within the company that you're in, even if it's not a promotion, you've got to check your identity at the door and make sure it's the right one for that new role. So what I see is most people just carry with them the old identity into the new role. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I see that all the time with individual contributors. When they get promoted, they still think, you know what, I was really good at doing something, so I'm going to continue to do that instead of stepping back and leading as their new role as a manager.
That's a great example, because an individual contributor likely got promoted because they were really good at doing stuff.
Yeah.
And then they get the new role, and now they're the leader of people that do stuff, and they continue to do stuff. And it may be totally counterproductive, and they need to step back and look at their identity. So this is a big mistake. I see it over and over again. And what happens because of it is they never achieve their full potential. They've got much greater potential, but they do not achieve it because they have not checked their identity. Let me, for those of you that can take notes, write this down. I want to walk you through the MBAR model so that you understand it in case you haven't heard it before. And I think it'll get simpler as we walk through it. So each of us has an identity. And that identity, let's just call that the I of MBAR, creates our mindset. So who we are, who we think we are, our identity, creates our mindset, which is how we think, our attitude, you might say. That then creates the B in MBAR, our behavior. So what we do is created by the I and the M, the identity and the mindset. Creates the B, the behavior. That creates the actions of those around us, those people that we influence. That's the A, actions of MBAR. And that, in turn, creates our results, the R. So I creates M, creates B, creates A, creates R. So if we have the wrong identity, it travels all the way downstream and creates a result, an R, that is not what we intended, that is not what we want. And that's why we never achieve our full potential unless we have the right identity for the role that we've accepted. Comments on that, Brian?
When we're in a certain role, we act a certain way, we dress a certain way, we speak a certain way. And oftentimes when we switch roles, or even when we want to switch roles, sometimes we have to adjust some of that. And going from an individual contributor to a manager is a great example of that.
Yeah, no, exactly. I can tell you specifically about a good friend of mine who got promoted to be president of the company. But they kept the identity of the lower role that they were promoted from. And they didn't think about what the president's identity looked like and the things that needed to change around identity. And we were able to work with them, and we made that adjustment, but I'm not sure that it would have happened. Once they made the adjustment and the identity was correct for the role, they became very, very successful. But it may not have happened. So I want everybody to look at this in reverse, though. The other way to go after this is if you know the R that you want to achieve, the results that you need to deliver in this new role, you can actually work backwards to the I and then create the I. So you simply go from the results you must achieve to the actions that the team must deliver in order to create those results. That's the A. Back to the B, the behavior that you must have to create the actions in the team. Back to the M, the mindset you've got to have to create the behavior. And then the I, the identity that creates the mindset. So you can literally work backwards if you know the results and determine what that identity needs to be. It's a fun session to work with somebody on this, but you can do it on yourself. You can do it on others. It's very, very insightful once you lay it out that way, and you can literally determine the course of action. So thoughts on that, Brian, before I go to my next big point here?
Yeah, actually, I was just thinking about, how does results connect with purpose? When you have something that you're going after as far as the purpose of what you're doing, that could really be your result, couldn't it?
Well, you know where I've got that is I've got that attached to identity. So let me talk about that. Mm-hmm. So one of the ways to look at your identity, if you're unsure of what it needs to be, is ask yourself, what is your purpose? And when you can define your purpose, you can easily define your identity. So I see purpose, Brian, being part of the I, part of the
I see
identity.
That. I see that, yeah.
Once you know that identity, once you're clear on your purpose, the M, the B, the A, and the R really start to fall in place. So they become pretty obvious. So purpose is something to consider as part of your identity. We've done work with organizations where we help define the identity of an organization. One of the things we look at there is what's the purpose of the organization, and that also helps you define the identity of an organization, even if it's not an individual. That was a great point, Brian. So here's the extra credit and the big deal in this. If you're an up-and-coming executive or someone that wants to become an executive, you can look out ahead into the future, pick the role that you want to be, and create that identity today. You can literally become who you want to be and be that identity. That will help you in so many ways get promoted to that role. So you can be the job you want before you ever have it. That's, when companies look for people to promote, they look for people that are playing a level above their job role. And it's a total game changer if you can identify what that identity looks like and start playing that role now. Brian, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's super powerful if you can look at someone who's already performing at that level and use that as kind of a guide. So instead of trying to figure it out, trying to reinvent the wheel, look at somebody who's already succeeding in that particular role, somebody who's already a top peak performer in that role, and learn from their example.
Oh, that's excellent. No, that really does give you a good example of the identity that you need to have. So whether you're looking at your identity in your current job, whether you've got a new job, whether you're looking to get promoted or have been promoted, if you're making a career change, you need to make sure that your identity is right for that role. And if you want to really excel, you can look out ahead and look at the role that you want to become and develop an identity around that. So MBAR is a very powerful tool. You can map it out and carry it with you. I have my MBAR on a whiteboard in my office for everyone to see. It's not hidden. It's right there for everyone to take a look at. That's it for me, Brian. Any closing comments?
I think with your identity, that drives your mindset and your behaviors. And some of those behaviors is going to be preparing yourself for that role from a skill set perspective. So if you're already looking at that role, you're going to be looking at, so what do I need to know? What skills do I need to develop? How do I need to grow for that role? And you can't do that proactively without looking at your overall identity.
Great point, Brian. Well done. Good wrap up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, Mark.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. We'll talk to you later. All right. That'll do it from here. As a reminder, head on over to our website, gapology.org, for more information. Everyone have a fantastic week. We'll talk to you soon.
This has been a Gapology production. Visit us at gapology.org.